Hey, fantasy football friends. So it is week 9 of the NFL, and we have 6 teams on bye this week, which means there is a lot of scrambling right now looking with teams looking to fill those holes of those players that are on a bye. Now, the waiver wire obviously is a big source of that, but especially at the running back position right now, there are not a lot of options out there to fill those holes. So what do you do? What do you do? So this week I want to take a look at trades. Trades. Now, I'll be honest with you. I have never done a trade in fantasy football, but that doesn't mean I'm not willing to. Now, here's a few little words of advice. Number one, do not ask for a team's number one player because they're never going to give them to you. That's stupid. They're never going to give them to you. Every time I see somebody come after, say, DeMarco Murray or Rob Gronkowski, or last year I had Dez Bryant and Calvin Johnson, yeah, nobody's going to give those people up. So don't even bother with that. So look for something that's going to be fair. Most of the trades that come across my screen are unfair, and I immediately go, delete, decline. No way, Jose. Never going to happen. So try to be fair in your trades. Make it worthwhile. It's supposed to be beneficial for both parties. So look to that. For instance, I had somebody try to trade me for Rob Gronkowski this week. Now, Rob Gronkowski is a number 1 tight end. And they wanted to give me some middling running back that I can't even remember the name of. And they're 32nd ranked tight end. Now, I already have 2 tight ends on my team. So clearly they did not look and see what I needed, and they did not take into account that this was not a fair trade in any way, shape, or form. First of all, Rob Gronkowski scored 32 points this week, which was more than double of what those 2 players did this week. So come on, be fair. So for me, for instance, I need some running backs. I'm looking for another decent running back. I have the 2 tight ends of Delanie Walker and Rob Gronkowski. I can get rid of Delanie Walker. Delanie Walker is not a bad tight end. He's ranked 6th in the league right now. So I'm going and I'm looking for a player that might have, say, a 32nd ranked tight end and, say, 5 running backs on their team, 2 of which they are sitting on their bench, scoring them 0 points, while their 32nd ranked tight end is scoring them 2 points. I can give them a tight end that will score 10 points for them, and they give me one of those running backs that they're not using. So that would be a fair trade. But I'm having a hard time getting that through to people. So I want to hear from you guys how trades have worked or maybe not worked for you guys. And I want to hear those stories. So please feel free to comment down below and tell me what kind of trades have worked for you and not worked for you. Okay, moving on to the waiver wire. Here are some options if you don't want to go the trade route for you. Quarterbacks. I really like Fitzpatrick versus the Eagles this week. The Eagles are allowing the 3rd most points to quarterbacks. And Fitzpatrick, you know what? He's a solid quarterback. Not a great one, not a bad one. And he's pretty consistent as opposed to being hit or miss. So I like him versus the Eagles. And I really like Alex Smith versus the Jets. KC is really seeming to hit their stride, scoring some points now. And the Jets have allowed 22 touchdowns this year and only 1 interception. So I like those numbers. Also, they have allowed at least 3 touchdowns in each of the past 4 games. So while they are in that low moment and then KC is kind of hitting their stride right now, I like that matchup a lot. So Alex Smith versus the Jets, I think, is going to have a good week. Running backs, again, we touched on this. It's thin out there, but so again, go with KC against the Jets. I like Knile Davis. Yeah, obviously Jamal Charles is there, but did you know that Knile Davis actually had 16 carries versus Jamal Charles's 14 last week. So there's a good split time there, and they're playing that Jets game really bad rush defense, and I think there's going to become garbage time at the end of the game where they'll put Niall Davis in there and can score some extra points. So in a thin running back situation, I think that he's a good choice. Also, a buddy of mine turned me on to Charles Sims, so I'm keeping an eye on him. Haven't decided if he's worthy of the time yet, but he's going up against the Browns. He's coming off the injury, and it looks like the coaching staff is going to give him a shot this week. So take a look at Charles Sims from the Bucks, because they have not had any kind of luck in their backfield this year, and so they're still looking for somebody that can bring them those rushing yards. Wide receiver. Again, I'm going to say it because I'm surprised to see that only 26% of ESPN League has ownership of him. Brandon LaFell of the Patriots. Brandon LaFell of the Patriots right now is out-targeting Edelman. So he is the number one receiver on the Patriots right now. And the Patriots are hot. And they're going to be playing Denver this week. So they are going to be playing catch-up this week. They have to score a lot of points. They are not going to be running the ball like crazy this week. They will run the ball because they're going to try to keep Denver off the field as long as possible. But they're going to need to throw the ball and throw the ball a lot. So Brandon LaFell. And Martavis Bryant. 3 touchdowns in his first 2 games, these past 2 games. You can't ignore that. You just can't ignore it. And again, I don't know if he's going to have 2 touchdowns again that week. That game last week that the Steelers had was kind of crazy. But what that showed was that Big Ben really likes this guy. And my opinion, when a quarterback likes a guy, you want to keep an eye on him because he's going to try to get that player the ball a lot. And so I actually picked up Martavis Bryant this week. And I may or may not start him. I haven't decided yet. I may give him another week to try it out. But I like them. So take a look at Martavis. And then tight ends. Owen Daniels from Baltimore. Really the only choice out there if you're looking at the waiver wire. Or if you're in my league and you need a tight end, talk to me about Delanie Walker. So that's the tight end situation. Now, badass of the week. I think it's no-brainer. I talked about him earlier. Rob Gronkowski is back in a big way. 149 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 32 points for mama. Thank you very much. Rob Gronkowski. Gronk, you are my badass of the week, and I love it. I love it. I'm glad to see you back, and I expect another big week from you this week, so we'll see what happens. Going to the doghouse. My doghouse this week was Torrey Smith. Torrey Smith, is sad. He's such a talented player, but he was only targeted 3 times, scored 0 points, 0 catches, 0 yards. Now, granted, I know that on 2 of those targets, it was intercepted. So whether that was Torrey's fault or Joe Flacco's fault remains to be seen. And then there was another one where he had a penalty. So Torrey Smith, you are in my doghouse. Let's see if we can get you out of there this week, okay? Don't know if I'm going to start you, though. All right, speaking of starting, let's go to my lineup for the week. Lineup this week, I am starting Drew Brees, DeMarco Murray, Brandon Oliver, Martavis Bryant. I have him starting right now versus Baltimore. He's in my flex position. I may switch him up, but I think that the Steelers are going to win that game, and I think they're going to win it throwing. Brandon Cooks, who also had a great week last week, my little rookie, is back. I love him. I love to see him do well. He is just a firecracker, and I love that in a player. I picked up Michael Crabtree from San Francisco. I like the matchup versus St. Louis this week, so picked him up. We'll see if he hangs on to the team. Rob Gronkowski, I'm going to keep in the lineup from now until the bye week. I have the Texans D. I'll be honest with you. I may end up just sitting my D this week. They're playing Philadelphia, which I don't hate, but I don't love. So I may just sit them and not risk any negative points. And then Blair Walsh is my kicker this week. On my bench, I have Delanie Walker, Torrey Smith, Roddy White, Monty Ball I picked up because he is going to be coming back, but I want to wait and see what happens with the Ronnie Hillman situation. And I also picked up Jonas Gray, that New England running back. And I'm interested in seeing what he does too. So I've got a number of players on my bench that I'm in a wait and see situation with, and I'm hoping that somebody stands out to me that I can keep them. So that's this week. Until next week, I hope you score lots of points. I hope your players remain injury-free and suspension-free. See you next week.